The governments of Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Mali have warned other West African nations not to intervene in Niger following last week's coup that deposed the democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum. A Burkina Faso government spokesperson made the announcement Monday after the ECOWAS bloc of West African nations imposed sanctions and threatened to restore Bazoum by force.
We warn that any military intervention against Niger is tantamount to a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. We warn that any military intervention against Niger would entail a withdrawal of Burkina Faso and Mali from ECOWAS, as well as the adoption of self-defense measures in support of the armed forces and the people of Niger.
Burkina Faso and Mali are led by military rulers following recent coups. On Monday, Germany suspended aid to Niger after the European Union and France cut humanitarian and military aid last week. Meanwhile, the Biden administration has stopped short of calling President Mohamed Bazoum's ouster by his own presidential guard a coup. Such a declaration would trigger an end to U.S. military aid to Niger, where in 2019, the U.S. opened a massive new drone base. The U.S. also has about 1,000 military personnel in Niger. They are saying they're now being confined to the U.S. military base. We'll have more on the coup in Niger after headlines. In Senegal, at least 2 people were killed Monday as protests erupted following the arrest of the opposition leader Ousmane Sonko. The Senegalese government also dissolved Sonko's Patriots of Senegal party after officials accused him of inciting violent protests last month in the capital, Dakar. This is the first time a political party has been banned in the West African nation since its independence from France in 1960. Sonko is a likely candidate in the 2024 presidential election who's popular amongst younger Senegalese voters. He's been accused of plotting an insurrection and criminal association with a so-called terrorist body, charges he and his supporters say are false. In Lebanon, fighting between rival armed groups inside the largest Palestinian refugee camp continued for a third day Monday after attempts to broker a ceasefire failed. Another 4 people were killed, bringing the death toll to 9. Dozens of others have been injured. Families are trying to escape the Ain al-Hilwa refugee camp, which houses tens of thousands of Palestinians, but many have nowhere else to shelter. Meanwhile, the United Nations has suspended its aid and operations at the camp amidst the violence between militant factions and members of the Fatah group. In northern China, at least 11 people are dead, more than 24 missing after the remnants of last week's super typhoon Doksuri flooded Beijing for the 4th consecutive day. It's one of the worst storms to hit China's capital region in over a decade. Another major storm, Typhoon Hanun, is bearing down on the Japanese island of Okinawa and could turn toward mainland China later in the week. Here in the U.S., a wildfire that erupted Friday in the Mojave Desert has exploded in size, consuming more than 77,000 acres in California and Nevada. It's among dozens of wildfires burning across the United States. Elsewhere, a summer heat wave in the southern U.S. enters its 3rd month today, with record temperatures forecast for cities in Texas and the Gulf Coast. In Arizona, Phoenix recorded a high temperature of 108 degrees Fahrenheit Monday, ending a record-breaking string of 31 consecutive days with highs above 110 degrees Fahrenheit. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says he'll authorize more than 100 new licenses for oil and gas drilling in the North Sea to maximize domestic extraction of fossil fuels. Sunak announced the plan Monday during a visit to a Shell gas terminal in northeastern Scotland. Sunak insisted his plan is compatible with the UK's commitments to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050.
Now, when it comes to our energy security, we're still going to need oil and gas. 25% of our energy will come from oil and gas, even in 2050. Far better that we get that from here at home.
Geologists say the Rosebank field in the North Sea holds more than 500 million barrels of oil, more than enough to prevent the UK from meeting its climate commitments. Friends of the Earth Scotland said in a statement, quote, "Burning oil and gas is driving extreme weather and killing people on every continent." Yet Rishi Sunak is gleefully encouraging the arsonists to go and put more fuel on the fire, they said. The U.S. State Department says it'll soon introduce a resolution at the United Nations Security Council authorizing a multinational armed force to be deployed to Haiti as the island nation grapples with worsening political instability and gang violence. Last weekend, Kenya's government offered to send 1,000 police officers to Haiti to support Haitian police, an offer applauded by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Many Haitians remain opposed due to the disastrous history of UN, U.S., and foreign interventions in Haiti. The filmmaker, artist, and activist Catherine Kane, known by her initials KK, has died at the age of 84 after a long struggle with cancer. Kane founded the Haitian restaurant and cultural center Tap Tap in Miami. Her films celebrated Haitian history and culture. She also documented how the United States twice supported coups against Haiti's democratically elected President Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Following the second coup in 2004, KK Kane helped organize a flight that brought Aristide from exile in the Central African Republic to Jamaica. The Pentagon says President Biden has selected Colorado Springs to host the permanent headquarters of U.S. Space Command, reversing a decision by former President Trump to move the facility to Huntsville, Alabama. The announcement on Monday came as Republican Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville continued to block the Senate from confirming Biden's military nominations over the Pentagon's policy of paying for employees' abortion-related travel expenses. U.S. health officials are urging states to retain more low-income people in Medicaid as they warn too many recipients are now losing their coverage. Some 4 million people have recently been dropped from Medicaid over paperwork issues as states continued to purge the rolls after the lifting of a pandemic-era rule on eligibility. That figure is likely higher as only 38 states have voluntarily made their data public. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken has rejected a call by Australia's top diplomat to end the Biden administration's efforts to extradite WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to the United States to face espionage and hacking charges. The Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong made the remarks during a joint news conference with Blinken after talks in Brisbane on Saturday.
We have made clear our view that Mr Assange's case has dragged on for too long and our desire that it be brought to a conclusion. And we've said that publicly, and you would anticipate that that reflects also the position we articulate in private.
A growing number of Australian elected officials, including the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, have urged the U.S. to drop its case against Assange, who is an Australian citizen. Secretary Blinken responded Saturday saying Assange was charged with, quote, very serious criminal conduct.
The actions that he is alleged to have committed risked very serious harm to our national security, to the benefit of our adversaries, and put named human sources at grave risk.
Australian lawmaker Andrew Wilkie, who is co-chair of the Bring Julian Assange Home parliamentary group, rejected claims by Secretary Blinken, calling them patent nonsense. He told The Guardian, quote, Mr. Blinken would be well aware of the inquiries in both the U.S. and Australia, which found that the relevant WikiLeaks disclosures did not result in harm to anyone, he said.